We're back and we're still discussing land, ownership, investments, real estate and land. It's a great topic. Last show we covered step number 5, which was signing of sale agreements and paying of deposits. We continue discussing the steps in land ownership. This is MoneyWise with Rina Hicks, where we create, grow and preserve wealth. Before we move on to step number 6, I have a question for Solomon, and the question is that payment of 10% deposit. I'm a bit confused about it, because when do I pay? Do I pay it after the land board has sat down and agreed to transfer the land? Do I sit and pay the 10% after we've signed a sale agreement, after I've seen a title? What's the trigger for me to say, okay, it's safe for me to put in a deposit of 10%, and what is required by law?
That's a good question, yeah. Well, assuming you followed the steps that we prescribed and you hired a licensed lawyer to walk this process with you, the first thing they will do is do what we call due diligence on the documentation for the property.
What does due diligence mean?
So due diligence simply means making sure that everything is in order as far as the ownership documents are concerned. When they were created, are there problems with typing errors? Because legally speaking, if your name is misspelled on a title deed, that is a different person from yourself. So all these things have to be checked out, and a licensed lawyer will do that for you. And one of the things, very critical things they will do is a search. They will do a search on the title deed for that property to make sure that there are no disputes, there is no bank claiming a lien on the property, that basically it's good for transacting. And once they've done that, they will prepare the sale agreement that you and the seller or buyer will sign.
Okay.
And it's at that point that you pay your deposit. You never pay before the due diligence is done, because I could pay you a 10% deposit and then find out that the title deed's in your mom's name and not you, which is a problem.
Yes.
Right? So assuming you've done your due diligence, which a licensed lawyer will help you do, then you pay your sale agreement deposit, which by Law Society of Kenya policy is minimum of 10%. If it's any less, that sale agreement is not legally binding.
Okay. Great. So I've signed my sale agreement. We've already done due diligence. I've signed and I've paid my 10% deposit. And then what's the next step?
So once you've signed the sale agreement, you have locked in the property for a specific price, and you've also negotiated a specific period of time in which you will pay your balance. The Law Society of Kenya again recommends 90 days, which is 3 months, because you may have to do different things in that time. They may need to subdivide that property to sell you what you're paying for. There might be issues that need to be cleared out first. You also have to visit the land control board for the location of the property to get their official permission to transact on that property. So those things take time, and which is why the Law Society of Kenya recommends that you take 90 days to complete a transaction. It can be less. You and the other party can agree to make it shorter or longer, but that's why you need a lawyer to help you with that process.
And the lawyer understands all these processes, like, they'll be able to guide me through.
If they are a competent lawyer, they should know.
Okay.
And if they don't, you need to fire them immediately and find a different one.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So then I have my sale agreement. I have done due diligence. I've paid my deposit. And
you've signed the sale agreement.
Yes.
So during the 90-day period or whatever period of time you've agreed with the other party,
yes,
you will need, especially for agricultural land, you will need to visit the land control board. Most meet, and each county has their own, most will meet once a month. They have a schedule that's usually posted in a public place. The lawyer should know. If they don't, they should be able to send someone to that location to find out when the land board meets. You will need legally, for that transaction to be legal, you will need the land control board's permission to either transfer that property to yourself or subdivide it or change a name or whatever it is that you're doing with that property.
Okay.
So once you've gotten the land control board permission, the lawyer who's helping you with the transaction will then request the buyer, or the seller in this case, if you're the one buying, will request them to give you all those documents, and you will exchange those for the balance.
Okay, for
So
the
the-
90%.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the balance will be paid in exchange for land control board consent,
Yes.
the original title deed having been transferred in your name preferably. That's also a point of negotiation. Sometimes you can pay before it's transferred to your name because they've given you all the documents you need anyway, but they should be able to give you the original title deed at the very least, along with the land control board consent letter, in exchange for the 90% balance.
Wow.
And once that's done, the title deed is registered in your name. And the final step, also very critical, is to have the lawyer do a search again on that property to ensure that it has been correctly registered in your name.
And no one else has been doing the same.
Yes, because
yeah.
very often you'll have one title deed or one property having several title deeds. And only the name that's at the registry files is the legal one.
Wow.
So you need to have them do a search to confirm that the title deed has correctly been registered in your favor, and then you're done.
Okay, great. And those are the steps to land ownership in Kenya. Please write to us with your questions. Our email address is below, sema@moneywise.co.ke, or you can send us a tweet or send us an inbox with any questions that you may have. This is Moneywise, and this is Rina Hicks, where I'm sorry.
Just take it from there.
From where?
This is
Moneywise.
yeah. It's
Okay.
Rina Hicks. Yeah.
This is Moneywise with Rina Hicks, where we create, grow, and preserve wealth. I have one final question. I know there will be too many videos, but I have one final question.